there, welcome to Motorcycles and Misfits, coming to you from the Recycle Garage in sunny Santa Cruz, USA. Fabulous day. We have an amazing show full of complete nonsense. Let's get to who's in the studio. Johnny!
Hey, you ever hear about the guy who dipped his scrotum in
No,
glitter?
John, no.
In glitter?
No. What happened?
Pretty nuts, huh?
Okay, so we've already established that Johnny...
Right out the gate,
Johnny
silly as a goose.
Mr. Hotshot himself. Do the rounds, Johnny. Try and keep it clean, darling. This is a family show.
Sorry.
You know.
Sorry, everybody.
Yes.
It's in the family way.
This is John. Hi, everybody. I'm very calm now.
Who else do we have, Johnny?
Go around.
Yeah, do it.
We have a visitor.
Hey, my name's Tim. First time here. It's pretty amazing.
Tim's been around the garage a few times, but he's here for the first time. In Liza's brain, right here.
Right, and looking good on the classic old couch, right next to Neal.
Hey there, party people. Hey.
Sitting across from me is Jake, and we're going to talk about your new acquisition.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey everybody, Jake 2.0, checking in. That could be a regular thing, is what's in the back of Jake's truck this week.
That's the truth.
I know. And sitting by the open window,
Yes.
it's Jim.
Nice to be here. Yeah. Protect your public lands.
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, and actually, that was going to be a subject, but now it's a non-subject, so we can actually...
Well, after
move on.
glitter nuts, what are you going to go after that? I mean,
as always...
Pales in comparison, you might say.
And coming from his superlative workshop in Velveeta, where there's always lots of cheese. It's
Oh,
bagel.
yes. It is I swimming in the fondue today in the Pacific Northwest.
Because it's fun to do.
Yes.
Oh,
Bagel, you are the cheesiest, darling.
Why, thank you. I try my best.
Yes. Any new acquisitions for you, Bagel? I mean, you are consistently...
New. I'm broke these days. Still out of work. Figuring things out, but everything's kind of on pause right now.
The correct term,
Yeah.
darling, is you are poor as a church mouse.
Yes,
And they are very poor.
But he is rich in scooter.
He's
this
rich
is true.
in broken scooters.
In various states of disrepair.
Now-
Yes.
Now, the more astute of you will realize that there is, in fact, a name missing, and that is fearless leader Liza. Where is Liza, Johnny? She sent me a picture from a very peculiar-looking supermarket.
She's
earlier.
around chasing nephews and nieces around in somewhere in southern Utah.
Yeah, so she's in Vegas with the family. And for those that don't know, Liza comes from a ginormous family who...
They're very tall.
They are very tall and numerous. And they mostly live in Utah, the great state of Utah. And I think the going rate is when they want to meet with the California relatives, they kind of meet up halfway in Vegas. And,
And it's a perfect excuse for Eliza to search for another seafood tower.
right, exactly. Because, I have seen Liza take on... Did I ever tell you the story about me and Liza in the Queen Mary? So
Yes.
we were staying in the Queen Mary and we're sitting at a very, very nice restaurant. And the waiter comes by and he says, well, what do you fancy? And Liza says, oh, I'd like the lobster. And she says, how big is it? And he said, well, it'll feed about 4. She says, want it? And so he brought this giant lobster out. And I'm not kidding you, it's the biggest thing I've ever seen. She just demolished it.
Yeah.
Absolutely demolished it. I mean, people were applauding at the end.
She is a fun person to travel with.
Oh,
So here's
she's
my
great travel.
Liza Queen Mary story. So we were down there for some motorcycle related thing, rode down, and it's nighttime and we're lurking about the boat because they have the ghost tours and you can make ghost sounds like around the ghost tours. So that's where we started. But then the brilliant part was, and this is Liza's magic, we wanted to get into the engine room because they give tours of the engine room during the day, but obviously it's locked up at night. So we just happened to find a housekeeper in the area and actually talked our way into her letting us into the engine room at night when it was all closed.
Oh, God.
For our own tour. Yeah, in the QE2. It was pretty amazing and spooky.
Did you try to fire that thing up?
Yeah, yeah. Where's the start button on this thing? So, yeah, she's a good travel companion.
So anyway, we miss her, and she will be back next week. But what did we get up to today? I arrived a little later this morning. A little later this afternoon, in fact, at about 1:30, and it was already jumping. You weren't here yet.
Not yet. No.
First thing, I was here early with Charlie. Opened up, and they had the Rabaconda out. Guy had some problem with a valve stem or something. Yeah,
exactly. So I helped JP, and he had a Bonneville with a 17-inch front wheel, which he thought had a valve problem, but it actually wasn't. It was a tire problem. Very badly molded tire.
Huh.
But we fixed it in the end. It took a little bit of monkeying around, but we got there in the end. But it's mostly pushing it off. But there was a lot going on today.
Well, Adrian had her new bike.
And this is something I want to talk about a little bit. There's a couple of things I want to talk about before we sort of get into everything. Because Adrian showed up with the first big bike I've seen her on, but she's had them in the past, and that's a Super Tenere. Really, really nice bike. And it needs a little bit of help.
It had some miles, 60?
60-odd thousand.
Okay.
No, I think it might have been 80.
80, I think you're right.
No,
80.
I think it's got 80,000 on it. But basically, she got it for next to nothing. Well, she got it for nothing, in fact. And it was really one of these things that this bike has been passed along through multiple owners as a kind of, I don't want to say a gift, but, you know, if you're struggling a little bit financially, well, here's a bike. And it's had 2 or 3 owners like that. And I think it's a great reflection of who we are. Not when I say who we are, I mean as bikers rather than just the misfits, that things like that happen. We always take care of one another.
It was like when that woman showed up with little Jojo the dog today.
Oh, right at
and
the
she's
end.
like, I can't afford a bike. We're like, yes, you can. We always give you a free one to start with.
Yeah, with a little fat
charge you when you come back.
Yes. And you know that, I mean, the Misfits itself, I mean, we like to think we try and give to the community, because the one thing you don't need to enjoy a bike is a fat bank account. Certainly not in our presence, because we'll teach you what you need to know to basically run a bike on a shoestring.
Well, you shouldn't need a fat bank account, right? The spirit of motorcycling, right?
No, you shouldn't. You know, if you go back to motorcycling in its purest form, you know, motorcycling has always been a working class pursuit. Motorcycling should always be something that just working men and women should be able to enjoy. And if you haven't got money for a car and you haven't got money to run a car, you should be able to ride a bike.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Hear, hear.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Hussein.
Yes. But as nice as that was, something really came across me when I pulled up at the garage, because there was a lot of people who I didn't recognize. Oh, God, and I've forgotten everyone's name. There was JP, who had the Triumph wheel, and there was Dave, who was riding the BMW. Can you remember that lovely gentleman with a KTM? Can we remember his name?
Was it Hector?
Hector.
It was Hector.
Oh, yeah, Hector, yeah.
He was at our...
Yeah, he's around, yeah.
Right, yeah, Hector's very, very good.
He's a misfit, yeah.
And then, of course...
guy named Jay came in on that scrambler.
Yes. But Adrian was here, of course, on the Super 10. Neal's here on the Big Strom. And it struck me how popular adventure bikes have become.
Oh, yeah.
And what you've got to understand is, up until the BMWs came along in the 80s, there were no adventure bikes. This is a kind of a genre of bikes that has come out of nowhere, and they are just supremely popular.
Also, could you say Dakar was the spirit of?
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
you know, the original. So the two are inextricably linked, because Dakar came along in the late 70s, And BMW always fielded bikes at Dakar because they were big and low revving and they were great, low center of gravity. And so they built bikes that worked well at Dakar.
And they had a top rider, Stefan Peter Hansel.
Right. And so the genre kind of elevated BMW. And then there's like, well, let's see if we can get something like this for the road. And then the GS was born, which is German for Gelandestrasse, as we know, Bagel.
Well, I think the thing that really kicked it off is the long way around. The first
Do you
one.
think that was really the
No, I think
so.
it's the other way around.
No.
I think the spirit of the Dakar rally really promoted that, and then other people got that idea from that.
I think long way around showed that normal guys could go out and do, or people could go out and do things like that.
I'm never going to discount the value of motorcycling in popular culture.
Yeah.
Because I saw, even though as young as I was, I saw the difference Easy Rider made to motorcycling. So back in 1969, when Easy Rider first came out, it changed motorcycling in England completely. And the cafe racer culture went away and the chopper culture came in. And it was entirely based on that film. Now, are we ever going to see a phenomenon like that again? Maybe not. I mean, I think the filmmakers were hoping for it with films like The Bike Riders.
Yeah, I think they were absolutely hoping for that. But back to that, because, you were doing your thing back then. How did that movie directly affect your custom motorcycle building? Like, did you
I was a kid,
okay.
So I was observing it. But my big sister, who was 10 years older than me, all her boyfriends stopped arriving on cafe race bikes, and now they were arriving on Triumphs with ape hangers on them. And it literally happened overnight. And so popular culture has a huge effect on motorcycling. And I think Long Way Round really perhaps elevated an existing culture and put it more into the mainstream. But, I mean, let's talk about why, because you own an adventure bike.
I do.
What makes adventure bikes such a delicious alternative?
Versatility.
Well, let's talk about the downside first. They're big, they're clunky, they're top heavy.
I think they're aspirational in the same way that most, like a Land Cruiser. Most people aren't going to go up doing the really gnarly stuff in one of those, but it's the idea that you could get on the bike and set off on a 2,000-mile trip or 3,000 or.
So it's almost like the
50,000.
promise of what they can do.
Yeah,
it's like Uncle Rico. He could throw that football over those mountains.
Right. Yeah. So it's the Uncle
Napoleon Dynamite reference.
I mean, I kind of get it. So.
It does speak to the human nature, I think, of exploration, right? And I think a lot of people that like to get off road, that's one of the reasons, like we don't ride motocross because, I don't want to go on a track, in circle, but I do like to adventure somewhere I haven't before. And I think the adventure bikes lend themselves to really effective marketing too. Because just because your bike can, do this section of the BDR or whatever, doesn't mean it's fun or it's enjoyable.
Right. But it's almost like a promise that you can. I don't want to sell adventure bike riders short, because most everyone I know who rides an adventure bike, they're not doing very, very technical single-lane trails on them.
Well, you learn pretty quick.
Right, because you've ridden some really technical stuff on your Africa Twin.
Well, I think if Scotty were here, she'd say any bike's an adventure bike, which is true. But we did a trip through the Southern Sierras where we went over the Southern Sierras, Sherman Pass Road, dropped down into Lone Pile 395. But we saw we were on fire roads, but then you would see some trails like single or Jeep track. And Scotty was on the 650L, and I had the Africa Twin.
Big difference there, though.
Yeah, well, you like.
Well, hang on. So let's stop right there.
Why'd you bring the J word into it, dude?
Is the 650L an adventure bike?
I would say I was over at Gilroy Motorcycle Center getting the recall work done on the Tenere the other day, and there was this older guy, adventure age, I would say, and he was looking real hard at a DR 650. And we were just hanging out and we were looking at the.
So is a DR650 an adventure bike?
Oh, I think it is. Well, any bike is. But what I'll say is if you want to like have the glory of taking these Jeep trails through Idaho and camping in the woods and being away from everybody, the lighter the bike, the more adventurous it's going to be. So me and Scotty tried to do these Jeep trails. Scotty, up to the top of the hill, no problem. By the time I hit the first or second big rock on this uphill with the Africa Twin loaded up, the suspension compressed. It was, it just went south quickly.
But hang on. You see, to me, an adventure bike has to have some touring capability as well. It has to be able to transport you long distance.
Mile muncher.
And because they're big, they're comfortable. That's, in my opinion, that's what they're best at.
And they have to be tolerant of dropping it.
That's key. What both y'all said is like when Adri, I was congratulating her on her new bike. And I said, it's an awesome touring bike. If you got to do 11 hours or something and just cruise and all that kind of stuff, they're super comfortable to be on. But again, you're going to drop it. And it like a dirt bike, if you can treat it like a dirt bike, it's got to not break. And that's what I see in some of these newer, manufacturers that are coming out with the adventure bikes and stuff like that. You look at all the little bits on the plastic or the mirrors or the clutch perches, things like that. And you see a lot of stuff that looks like it would break, in a fall.
Right.
But the thing about the 650, and again, it's who the rider you are. So Scotty and I did the same amount of miles. We did 300 plus mile days, not every day, but we did. And Scotty's able to do that on that 650 without a windscreen. That would kill me. I could.
Scotty's hard.
Right, and I think that's largely a reflection of the rider rather than the bike. Now, Bagel, I want to bring you in here because you're kind of the outsider. You're the scooter guy.
Right.
What do you make of these giant adventure bikes? The things are everywhere.
Well, first thing I wanted to say is that I think anything can be an adventure bike if you're brave enough. Scotty proved that riding a monkey
but
through
there has to
Mongolia.
Be a definition. There has to be something that separates.
As a class of vehicle, yes, I agree. But I think that the points that have been brought up are valid. Like there are people who want that sense of adventure and who want to take those bikes off road and do. And, and I think that's kind of where it began. Like there was a class of people who wanted, because when these bikes first came out, like the GS, they were not cheap bikes.
Oh no.
So people had to invest, a lot of money into these things to get into that because they wanted to do those sorts of things. And so it became, its own little culture, and that's kind of where it grew from, and then went to be a long way around and grew and spread from there. And I think like the point you said where it became more mainstream, I think that definitely that movie played a role in that. And so, and since then, like we've got the stereotype of, riding your adventure bike to Starbucks. But I think with that, there's sort of a parallel there with, and not to bring the J word back into it, but with the automotive world, SUVs in general are really popular, especially here in the United States. People want a big vehicle, something that has a powerful motor that can get you through anything. And if you have to go off-road, you can, even if it's not, necessarily the best thing for that, you can do it. And I think adventure bikes fill that niche, translated into the motorcycle world. And I think that sense appeals to a lot of people.
So can we actually delve into this a little bit further? And I don't want to get too far away from it because this ultimately is a motorcycle podcast. But when I came to the States in 1994, I was like, God dang, everything's so big. For food portions, just roads, everything was big. And I think to a certain extent, we still equate size with value. If something costs that much, if it's bigger and it's the same price, it's better value, right?
It feels like it's worth what you're spending, yeah.
Based on size.
It's substantial.
But if you talk about a R100 GS, that physically isn't a very large motorcycle.
R100 GS is a huge friggin' bike.
No, I
what,
disagree.
the Bumblebee?
No, just the R100 GS that came out in about 90.
Yeah, the black and yellow one.
No. The one the one that I recall, it didn't have the huge tank and it wasn't the full.
Oh, not just the.
Yeah.
Yeah, but comparison with what was out there.
Well, it was much smaller than a Harley, a full dresser, for example.
Yeah, but Harleys have their own following because they're so big.
Yeah. I mean, that bike full of gas was probably under 500 pounds. It wasn't that
but it was physically big.
Well, I think where adventure bikes kind of get big by definition is like if I had to check boxes, what makes an adventure bike? One is it's dual sport, has to be off-road capable.
Right.
But also and I'm just throwing this out if we had boxes to check, right? I think another B is you have to be able to camp off the bike for at least 2 nights.
Right.
Right? Because in adventure, you're going to be out in the woods camping and stuff like that. And that's where all of a sudden you start getting a little bit bigger bike. You know, even though I went from the Africa Twin down to the Tenere, I can still camp off it. But compared to the 450, the Honda 450 dirt bike, it'd be really hard to camp off that bike for 2 or 3 nights in a row.
So it needs to be able to accept at least some basic luggage.
Yeah, like I was maybe 35 pounds at least of luggage. Yeah, because I mean, I go pretty lightweight, but it's even super lightweight, it adds up.
So that's another thing. So an upright riding position, crashability, ability to accept luggage, sufficient ground clearance.
Yeah.
To navigate as a minimum fire roads. You know, I think we're getting down to it.
Yeah, it's the intersection of off-road and touring.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. And it came out of nowhere. Until the GSs came along, there was simply nothing like it. It kind of came out of thin air. And I think my observation today was just how popular it's become.
And, you know, those bikes, at least my experience, with street-oriented tires are super capable. I mean, the Africa Twin, when I first got it, still had the stock tires, and you could get all the way over on those things. And what I've also found is when you're in on fire roads, because with the bigger bikes, you're really not riding the real hard, the even medium hard stuff. It's just too difficult. But the stock, tires do pretty darn well. So you don't have to get crazy knobby tires and stuff for your adventure bike. It's kind of what I'm learning. Because most of the time you are on the pavement and they're super fun to ride, just as a touring bike.
See, I think they also fill the niche between kind of standard motorcycles and dressers, Harleys or Goldwings or something like that, for older guys, honestly. And because it's like, I don't want to ride a dresser, but I would ride a GS all day long.
Right.
So it just fills a different niche for some of us.
And you've got that lovely Triumph.
Mm-hmm, I do.
Which is nice. So answer me this. So let's talk a little bit about genres. That Superglide that I ride, is that a cruiser or a standard?
Cruiser.
It's definitely a cruiser.
Yeah, low seating position. Kind of a stretched out drag bike.
But it hasn't got forward controls. It's got standard controls.
Right. But still, it has that sort of stretched out drag bike look that came in with Arlen Ness in the 70s. So based on that. So it's a cruiser.
I got nothing. This is out of my genre.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't disagree. There's a lot of crossover on these bikes.
Yeah. I will say one thing. So the category that came before adventure bikes, I would argue would be scramblers.
No, scramblers are a very different thing.
Well,
scramblers are very.
I'm not saying they're the same thing. But I'm saying it's the idea that it had some off-road capability. High pipes. Still crappy ground.
But arguably, scramblers were the off-road bikes in the 60s.
They were
50s and 60s.
They were.
There was no alternative.
Yeah, but
But that's what what I think I'd call a trail bike.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which is a term, it's a trail bike, not a trial bike. And it's like the whole, there's no kangaroos in Austria. Trials bike is a very, very different thing.
Yeah.
But a trail bike is, I think.
So where would a Penton fit into this conversation?
Penton's competition bike.
Just more competition dirt bike.
That is a proper, a Penton is basically made with a specific job. And I think perhaps what we're getting at is adventure bikes, scramblers, trail bikes.
Yeah, road legal enduros.
Yeah. standards, cruise. These are all kind of crossover bikes. They've got a foot in everything. And I think perhaps the reason that adventure bikes have become so popular, they've got more feet. They've got more feet in more places than anywhere else.
And I tell you, as you get older, whatever, they're comfortable. They're like comfy to sit on. You can do a bunch of hours on adventure. At least I can. That's my feeling.
Right.
The cruiser bikes don't really sit up for my body very well, but at the end of the day, they're comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Liza always makes fun of me still riding around on that RF, but for me, it's still quite comfortable. Mm-hmm. But there is going to be a time when being, basically on clip-on handlebars is going to be too much, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I can tell you, I can do a couple of tanks of gas on a V-Strom and not feel tired.
I'm with you, Emma. It's the clip-ons. That riding position is I'm built for that. I'm Johnny long torso, short in the leg.
I'm getting a bit.
I'm
getting a bit fat for that now. To be honest with you, I need to knock off the cheeseburgers.
And if your apple bottom looks good.
But yeah, and I mean, if you enjoy that position, but I think perhaps for me, because I've often thought, should I get an adventure bike? And I've long admired Super 10s. I think Super 10s are just gorgeous bikes. But the truth is, if I ever replace Rufus, it'll almost certainly be a Bandit. Because, it's big Suzuki with a sit-up riding position. Do you know, they've got an even better one in Europe. We don't get them here. It's called an Inutsuma. And an Inutsuma is basically a Bandit with twin shocks.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. It's not got the monoshock back end. It's got really conventional.
When's the last time you owned a Bandit? You've always raved about them.
I never had one.
Wow. They're always like one of your favorites.
Well, no, because it checks all the boxes, but it's just one of those things, it's you can admire them from afar. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a Bandit in my future. I just got to pick the right one.
Yeah. So why not? What's the Triumph kind of sport touring bike? The big sport touring Triumph bike.
Well, it's a Trophy.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Which is the giant thing. I mean, Trophy's huge.
They don't make those anymore, right?
No, I know.
It's really the Tiger. The Tiger's probably the biggest.
Okay.
Yeah, and
they don't make Bandits anymore either, do they?
No. Well, they say that. Theoretically, if you ask somebody at Suzuki, well, can I buy a new Bandit? Oh, it depends who you know. It's that kind of, and this is typical of Suzuki. There are models that you can buy brand new that are not in Suzuki brochures, like a Bergman 200.
Ooh.
Did you know that?
Did not.
Bergman 200. Did you know that, Bagel?
No, in the United States?
Yes.
Really?
God, they're rare. They are so... Bergman 200.
Good Lord. And is it the same platform as the 400 and 600 or 650?
I sincerely hope not. It wouldn't be able to get out of its own way. To have a top speed of about walking pace. No, they're small. They're little.
Okay.
Yeah, they're little things.
So it's a totally different bike.
Yeah.
Wow.
Bergman 200. Very rare.
Never heard of one. That's amazing.
Yeah. I know. So it's full of stuff like that. But yeah, Jim's looking one up right now. It looks like a Bergman, but it's shrunk.
It looks like just a nice way to get around.
Yeah.
Nice big seat. You could easily fit a cask of wine in there.
Yes, it's definitely got a wine cooler under the seat.
Box of wine. Get your Genie Piro on.
There's a Morpheus for sale down the street from me.
Oh, God.
Very
really?
clean. Very clean.
Is it blue?
It's black.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Actually, you know what, Jake? You should jump on that.
If it's a good price and it runs.
More important than that, you should actually have a look, and I will send you some of the videos I used to send to Bagel of the Morpheus crowd in Tokyo, who were just...
They're wild.
Like all the lights and shit.
They've got all the neon and they're slammed. They've got hydraulics on them. And, they can literally ride these things on the belly of the scooter. It's a wild
So I saw it. It's in Capitola on Opal Cliffs. I saw it after a surf. And the only other time I'd ever seen that bike, I had no idea what they were.
there was a scooter ride. I was on my way here,
Right.
and there were 2 slammed ones in the back with like neon lights running under the bodywork.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is that?
It's truly the stretch booster of the scooter
Yes.
world. Do you feel that? Do you feel that's accurate, Bagel?
I guess you could say that. I mean, certainly doesn't have the performance. It's just
but they're not
250.
slow.
But no, they're peppy. You know, they're comparable to a Vespa GTS 250, if not a little bit quicker.
Wow.
And I think they're a little bit quicker than a GTS. So I really enjoyed mine. You know, so if it's for sale for a decent price, I would, and it's running and clean and everything, and you're interested, I would recommend it.
Jake, you should jump all over that. It is the
Come on,
only.
Jake, do it, Jake.
It's the only bike I know that has been styled after a lace-up.
My Vespa
brogue.
would be so jealous.
What's it styled after?
It's a lace-up brogue. You know,
Oh,
really
yeah, like a Scottish brogue?
yeah, it's a really shoe shape.
I will say, if it's possible to take it for a ride, you might want to do that first, because the riding position is very unusual. You do get used to it. It takes kind of a little bit to figure out exactly where your feet are most comfortable. But
Is it like super feet forward, like the Bergman?
It's like a gurney.
It's like a Honda Helix. It's probably might even be a little bit more extreme of a riding position than Honda Helix.
It looks like a jet ski with wheels.
Yep.
It really
Kinda,
does,
yeah.
actually, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's if it is a shoe, it's a space age shoe.
If a jet ski
Can we
was
get a
channeled
history?
and
look at
lowered,
that.
Can we get a history hole on one of these things?
That's like Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, well, it's actually, I think they might even still be in production.
Wow.
In Japan. It's the Yamaha CP250 over there. It's also been badged as the Yamaha Maxam, MAXAM, in a lot of, I think, in Europe and Canada.
You know, people forget that Yamaha have quite the history with bigger scooters, because there's the Majesties, which are very much the Bergman competitors, which are even bigger.
Yep, and the Majesty engine.
too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Yamaha T-Max. But the Majesty 400 engine and I believe the front end can be swapped out with the Morphous as well, and makes for a very peppy Morphous.
An amorphous?
Are you
Cooler than a Bergman.
Super Morphous.
Well, no, it's more morphy than a Bergman. So listen, Jake, I mean, you've already jumped in there. So let's talk about what's at the back of your truck.
Oh, geez.
Come on, just spill it out.
It's a Harley.
Yes.
It's a Harley.
Wow.
It's a Fat Boy.
Yes.
Everybody's getting Harleys.
From the year 2000. I did not buy it.
It's a Terminator bike.
It's the Terminator 2 bike. Yeah.
Wow.
I have a friend who just retired. She was a teacher, coworker.
Yes.
It was her husband's bike. He's no longer with us.
Yes.
And she kind of just had it in the shed and couldn't really bear the thought of opening the door. And she finally did the other day and was like, I'm ready for this thing to get out of here. And
you being
she thought of me.
Yeah,
she thought of me. And we had a little conversation and we're hatching a plan. Got to take some gas out of the tank, get a new battery in. And we'll go from there.
So let's talk about the realities of this, because there's a ton of bikes like this all over the country. And it can be a deceased husband or wife. It can be just a forgotten motorcycle. People move on with their lives. You know, things that people were passionate about. I mean, most everyone in this room has been passionate about motorcycles all their lives and have never left it behind. But the fact of the matter is some people do. So let's talk about the reality of what it's going to cost to get a bike that's sat idle, I guess, for 4 years back on the road. So, tires.
Yep.
All the fluids. All of them. Clean the tank. Maybe. We'll see when we get in there. Definitely clean the carburetor. Maybe a new carburetor. Because by the time you've totaled up the components, because it might have split its diaphragm.
Or there could be corrosion in there too from ethanol fuel sitting in there.
Split diaphragms are never a good thing.
Yeah, never a good thing. Yeah. So, it may and you can
I see what you did here, Neal.
Yeah, you can get Harley carburetors for not a great deal of money. Battery, of course.
Yeah.
Maybe brake hoses if you're really unlucky.
But that has braided lines on it.
Yeah, it's got the upgraded braided lines on it. So he's thrown a little bit of money at it.
Yeah, but maybe
it seems cared for. It
calipers.
seems cared for.
Yeah, and you seem to think it had got some miles on it, but I'm standing by. I think that is a low mileage bike.
Yeah, after we looked at it and you mentioned, I would agree.
You know, so the fact it had its original front tire on from 2000.
2004.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, have a look at the drive belt and see what that looks like.
Yeah, and that is not a job you want to do. You never.
You have to take the whole primary apart to get the belt off. It's painful.
Sounds fun.
But
yeah,
ultimately, and I think the lesson we're learning with these bikes, carbureted Harleys aren't fetching big money.
No.
So what we got to do is we got to work backwards, and I think that's a $5,000 or $6,000 bike, and that's all the money when it's fixed. And we've got to throw into the mix, how much does it owe DMV?
Oh, it's got a little over $900 in back reg.
So we'll call that $1,000
for sure.
So you got to work backwards.
Yeah.
And I think it needs at least a couple of grand throwing at it and $1,000 at DMV. So you're left with a couple of grand bike. And so, you know, oh, look, it's a low mileage fat boy. Yeah. Fantastic. Only a couple of grand.
Although I will say, when you go to the DMV, tell them the situation and see if there might be some way they can knock off some of those fees because of, you know, the
I think you can.
History.
Can't you retroactively file non-op?
No, not if it's owing.
You have 6 months after.
Yeah, it's like there's like a time within the registration period you can do that, I think.
Yeah.
But after that,
yeah, it's based within the registration.
You have to pay extra. But it's they sometimes will give leeway depending on the situation, especially when you're buying a bike that's been, you know, in a situation like that where the owner's passed away. You know, it can be left sitting, and obviously it's not been used. And you know, they might ask you to fill out a form confirming that it hasn't been on the road or anything like that,
and things like that.
Exactly, yeah. And they might be willing to knock off, you know, some of those back fees and just charge you for like the current reg, or, you know, the current reg plus some of the back fees, you know, depending on how they're feeling that day, you know.
Yeah, I had thought about that. I wouldn't want her to have to sign anything else. I had her sign the title.
Yeah,
well,
and that was
it's not for her. It's not for her to do. Right. Like she signs over the paperwork. You go to the DMV and ask them when you do the paperwork.
Sure.
Just explain to them the story and see, is there any way, you know, that some of those back fees could be waived because of the situation, blah, blah, blah. And just ask, you know, it never hurts to try.
If they start asking for a copy of the death certificate, though, that's where it's
that's where you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you mention there's a death involved, it's like, now it's probate, now it's death.
Right.
I'd keep quiet about that.
Yeah.
What you've got to decide as a good friend is you've got to decide whether you're just going to sell the bike and give the person the paperwork and do the sign of the cross and wave them on their merry way, or you're going to register the bike, pay all the back fees, and then get a title in your name and then sell it on as a newly titled bike. And that's not a decision. You know, there's no right or wrong answer,
sure.
Jake.
It's just time and money.
It's
time and money.
All it takes is time and money.
Yeah.
It'd be easier to sell that way, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other.
If you do it twice, if she transfers it to you, there's transfer tax. And then you sell it, there's another transfer tax. So
right.
There's a little bit of advantage if it goes straight from her to the new buyer.
But at least you wipe out the non-op or the fees for the new buyer.
Yeah, I just think I'll probably pop into AAA and just get a confirmation on what the fees are, and if they can print it out and just have a picture and be like, look, here's the situation. I think it's easier to explain that to a new buyer than to file the paperwork, wait for it, put more money in, you know.
Because,
you're going to need tires, you're going to need a service. If I slap a battery in it and clean some carbs and it runs, that's good enough for a quick
You really
sale.
want to sell a bike with bad tires?
Not to somebody that's going to ride around on them. But the price will reflect.
Yeah. So hang on. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about a moral obligation.
Right.
As a responsible seller,
yeah,
I mean, do you scope out the buyer, or is it just,
for
you're
sure.
selling it as a project bike? Bye.
No. Yeah, they got to know what they're doing.
But how do you arbitrate that? How do you figure that out?
You sell it as an as-is condition. And
You got to suss them out.
Or do you take the money and run?
You could also state that, in the bill, you write up a bill of sale and say the bike is sold as is, and among other, items, needs tires, brakes, blah, 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 whatever. If you want to give full disclosure about the condition of the bike, you can do that and have them sign that as the bill of sale, and they've essentially agreed to those terms.
I think this is a karmic transaction. So I think when you list it, you say it is what it is. And when they come and look at it, you're like, here, I'm helping out a friend, want it to go to a good home. It's going to need tires. It's going to need this.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to sell it to you for dirt cheap.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Just come clean, because it's all about feeling good afterwards on this one.
Exactly.
You see, at the shop, everyone knows I rarely get involved in the sordid business of buying and selling bikes.
But boy, can you see in an airbox from across the room.
But there's a very good reason for that.
True.
Because when I sell a bike, morally, especially with the fact that I have a shop, I have to get it up to that condition. And I mean, I remember I sold a GS and there wasn't much margin in it anyway. It's an older GS. It was an 08, I want to say. And it was still a $6,000, $7,000 bike. But it certainly wasn't a $20,000 GS. But the tires were 4 years old. And I'm like, I'm just going to put tires on it.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the tires, but they were 4 years old. And I'm like, I'd rather put tires on it and sleep well in my bed.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't put Shinkos on it either. I mean, I put Michelins on it.
And what would that run like if you weren't doing the work? The cost of the tires plus labor, you're talking, $700?
Oh, easy.
Yeah, so I mean, right there, just trying to get the thing reasonable, you're almost $700-800, whatever.
Right, exactly. Tires are expensive,
Yeah. That gets into your profit margin quick, right?
Right, exactly. So it's unless the buy-in for the bike is extraordinarily cheap.
But it's one thing to have 4-year-old tires and 25-year-old tires
right, exactly.
on the front.
And make no mistake, Jed, when I saw that bike, my little mental calculator was going.
Sure.
And I was like, shall I make him an offer of just like, here's $3,000?
Yeah.
But the numbers don't add up for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I'd get that bike to where I could sell it with a clear conscience, which would be everything. Maybe a new carburetor. But then it's like, it's going to be a really pretty bike.
Yeah.
When that's cleaned up, that's going to be a drop-dead gorgeous bike. The previous owner, God rest his soul, he's done all the right things to it. It's got a nice paint job on it. It's got nice wheels on it. It's got the solid, it's a fat boy, so it's got solid disc wheels. It's a great-looking bike. But, carburetted Harleys, certainly now, are like, boom. And that's where they're at.
Right.
And I think that's a $5,000 bike.
Yeah, at best.
That's on a real good day. I mean, Liza's bagger. I mean, it's a gorgeous bike. It's got beautiful paint job on it. It's got all the things on it. But yeah, it's got a ton of miles on it. But she's literally no takers at 39. None.
Wow.
And that's got a radio, dude.
Yeah, CD player. Didn't I see a CD player in there?
I think there is a CD player in there.
Yeah. I thought I saw a Bob Seger CD sticking out somewhere.
Hey, don't pick on Bob Seger. That's my boy.
I think that's compulsory listening on a Harley Davidson. You just have to play Bob Seger over and over and over again.
Turn it up to 11.
Wait a minute.
What is this?
Wait, who's here?
Looks like she's in the room.
Yeah, it does look like she's in the room. I don't know whether we'd be actually joined by somebody.
Big spam.
I think the camera. If you lost the camera.
So, for people who are listening, we've got a large screen monitor up on the wall, and Liza's face has appeared, like she's watching us. And it would be nice if she was joining us via Zoom.
I think your room camera cut out.
Oh, yeah, I think it did.
I think that is the most likely that the room camera can have.
Oh, yeah.
We just
Everybody panicked.
It's there. You see, it's back now.
Panicked.
The computer
and
camera.
We think Liza was watching us.
It's back.
But I mean, I think it's great that you're taking on this project, and I mean, it kind of dovetails what I said about Adrian. You know, it's passing it along. You're taking care of a co-worker who you were very fond of, and you're trying to do the right thing by the bike. And I hope you try and do the right thing by the next owner as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if nothing changes and I just get it running, there's going to be not a stern conversation, but a serious one about tires and lube.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly. It's because the last thing you would want is somebody riding that thing down the road and having a little bump on it. And, oh, God, is this my fault? Johnny's plugging something back in. If you hear any crackling noises and the smell of burning flesh, you'll know. Not that kind of smell.
For the audience at home,
smells like
John
bacon.
was bending over in front of Jim.
I know it comes after that.
Messing with his plug.
Oh, my God.
My eyebrows just grew back from last time.
Sometimes you just got to diddle it to get it to work.
So, Tim, I want to talk a little bit about your R1 because it's quite a cool bike, and they're getting quite thin on the ground now.
Absolutely.
So what are you riding today?
Oh, I rode the R1N, the one you brought
Well, yes,
back from
I
the
know it.
grave.
Everyone knows it. So you better tell people all about your R1.
1998 R1 that I've owned since 1998.
Oh, wow. And it's orange like a KTM.
It's been painted. The easiest way to say what has been done to the bike is to say what hasn't been done to the bike. It's got a stock muffler. Everything else has been touched.
Yeah, it's very seriously messed with.
The frame isn't painted. It's hard black anodized.
I noticed that.
Swing arm, frame, all aluminum parts. I disassembled the bike completely, sent it out for anodizing, put it all back together again, massage the motor.
So we won't do really a history hole, but what makes it so unusual is how early it is. So Yamaha really pioneered a lot of the innovations that we see in sport bikes right now in the mid to late 80s with the FC and the FCR range with the 5-valve heads. And the FCR 1000 was a lovely bike. And we sold a ton of them when I was working at the dealership in England. We did really, really well with FCR 1000s. And we used to paint a lot of them in Vance & Hines colours.
Oh, interesting.
And people have forgotten the Vance & Hines colours. They came in two flavours. They came in like metallic blue-grey and bright school bus yellow. And then metallic magenta and school bus yellow.
Right,
and that was the more popular one. But then, after the FCRs, for a very short period of time, came the Thunder Ace and the Thundercat.
Thunder Arse.
Yeah, Thunder Arse. So, what a name! Where the hell did they get that name from?
That was amazing. The bike was powerful, but it had a very unusual look.
Yes, and it kind of bridged the gap between the FCRs and the R series. And it was, I always get them mixed up. Thunder Ace was the 1000 and the Cat was the 600.
I believe you're correct.
Yes, but they are quite singular looking bikes. Right. However, and that was 2-year bike. Then the R1 and the R6s came in, the very, very early ones. And that's what your bike is. It's a year one, isn't it?
It is. It's a VIN 133.
So really, really early bike. And I'm guessing, was it cobalt blue when it was new?
It was a red and white one, actually.
Oh, okay.
It was red and white one. And I modeled the paint job basically after the R7 that Noriyuki Haga was riding at the time, but used colors for Team F1 McLaren.
Right, so it's day glow and gunmetal.
Correct.
Best way. So let's go back to 98. You're looking for bikes. You're like, okay, so what can I buy that's going to make me go fast?
Well, I was riding a CBR 900RR, a Fireblade in your world.
Yes, which is a great bike.
A great bike. Loved that bike, and got caught up in newer is better.
Yes,
and had pushed the 900RR to the power that I wanted, and I was younger than I am now, but I still bigger, better, faster, more. Right? In the United States, so I wanted the R1 came out, and I was looking and stumbled across this one. I actually bought it used, but it had 1,300 miles on it. The first owner bought it from San Jose Yamaha and paid a premium. He paid just over $13,000 for it in '98.
Wow!
And yes, yeah, he had to have the bike. And then I bought it with 1,300 miles for $8,000 because he was in a position where he was liquidating everything. He and his wife were moving on to a slip. They was moving on to a boat and moving out of the area. I don't know why. So yeah, and then decided to make it my own. And, it was a decision. I enjoy the bike and everything that's been done to it, but I don't think I would ever pay to have a bike painted again. It just took too long. I owned the bike for almost 2 years before I actually rode it. And it actually had a recall on it. It had weeping cases. It had porous cases. Coolant was coming out through the cases, through the cylinder's wall, and had that. Yeah, it was a nightmare owned for the first 2 years. I argued with a mechanic that repaired the cases, and I think, I can't prove it, but I think he intentionally left out 2 valve keepers because I picked up the bike and 200 miles later I dropped a valve.
Oh no!
Yikes.
Took 6 months to get Yamaha to repair it, to agree to repair it. In that time frame, in the 5th month, the dealership closed. So I had to go down. I got to the dealership and people were just looting the dealership. So I went in and just grabbed everything. My bike was in pieces. Thank God I knew what all the parts were. I just grabbed all the parts, and corporate Yamaha told me to take it to, at the time, a new dealership, Redwood City Yamaha, I think.
Okay.
And they put it all back together again, and it's been ran for a couple thousand miles, and then I fiddled with it. Right, had to add more power.
Right.
I had to add all the little farkles. The suspension's been redone. I was in a relationship with a young lady that owned an R6, and every time I rode her R6, I wanted more power, and every time I rode my R1, I wanted better handling. So I started looking at race teams, talking to race teams, what can I do to my R1 to make it handle better? So it's got aftermarket triple clamps with offset trail. It's got aftermarket suspension dog bones to raise the rear end of the bike. Yeah, so it's pretty well fiddled with. So
yeah,
it's well sorted.
Yeah,
as you know, and I'm glad you brought it back for me.
Yeah, well, it's been in my workshop. In fact, you got it back about 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, 3 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just been sitting around, neglected, forgotten.
Yeah, back of the garage for about 5 years.
Yes. And I brought it back, and it's a lovely bike.
Oh, it's a wonderful bike. It showed me the shortcomings of my other bikes. So now I'm just going back into the other bike.
At risk of sounding like a long playing record, we talked about this last week, and just about the joys of big 4-cylinder bikes with carburetors. They're just so creamy power delivery. There's an abruptness to fuel injection.
Absolutely.
And you can use that to your advantage because of the abruptness. But then when you get to a certain size, like your GSX 1000 is an example, you really have to start being quite careful with the throttle if you want to ride it smoothly. Mm-hmm. But of course, you've got the quick shifter on it, which really helps. So you can really just hold it wide and just shove up and down through the gears.
If you want to go to jail for exhibition of speed. It's fun to do that quick shifter.
But this beautiful, soft power delivery of carbureted superbikes.
They're so much smoother on and off throttle than fuel injected bikes.
Just lovely.
They're so smooth.
They really are, but not slow.
I remember that about I had an FJ 1200. So
very good.
Yeah. So it was very smooth and it had really killer mid-range torque.
And FJs were great. And a bike I'd forgotten how lovely it is. My God, it's a big porker, but a lovely bike to ride was the CBR 1000 Hurricane.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. My God, those things are smooth.
It had a nuclear reactor for an engine.
It's just an amazing engine. And you just 0 to 150 before you realize what's happening. Just lovely and smooth to ride. But of course, from an emission standpoint, all of these engines were terribly dirty.
Mm-hmm.
And very little could do to clean them up. And so hence fuel injection. And yes, you can still buy carbureted bikes today. But generally, I find...
Not performance bikes.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I wanted to ask you about carburetors. You dropped me, Tim, a carbureted bike that was very unhappy.
I've brought a couple to you, but I
Are they happy now?
They're very happy.
And these are factory settings. I think one was a Yamaha and one was a Honda.
Suzuki DR200.
There you go, the DR200, I've forgotten. And now they have to set them so lean from the factory, they barely run. And so, of course, my job as a mechanic and trying to be as responsible as possible, should also point out Tim runs a training school. So, hence the training bikes. But my job as a mechanic, I've got to kind of wear two shoes. I have to try and comply with California emissions and not stray too far away from that. But I also have to be mindful that somebody's going to be getting on this bike who's maybe never ridden a bike before.
Exactly.
So I want to give them the best experience so that rather than fight with it and fight with peculiar power delivery, they have this nice, smooth power delivery.
Emma, that DR200 went through 2 or 3 mechanics, a couple of experienced motorcyclists, myself playing with the carburetor.
Monkeying
could not get it running, and you were my last resort. That bike was going to get kicked to the curb, and it came back. And the best thing I can say for it is complete novices ride that bike, and they have no complaints.
Yeah,
they just ride it, and it tells me how good you did it.
That's what gives me a warm glow inside, because I do a lot of bikes for training schools, and I want to make sure these are as easy as possible to ride. I know you're not a great fan of 250 Rebels, are you?
No, they are not. They communicate something to a novice that can put them off to riding.
Let's talk about that, because if Craig was sitting here now, he'd be gnashing his teeth, because
could be
this is one of the greatest training bikes that he uses.
They have a low seat height, which is awesome for novices. Novices want to put their feet flat on the ground.
Right.
They feel so much better with their feet flat on the ground, but then their feet forward on the Rebel. Right. That's not a very friendly feeling. The biggest complaint I have, I have 2 complaints about the Rebels. They don't crash well, which you need in a training bike. You need a bike that crashes well. And the Rebels, when you ride them, they require what we're all used to, a counter steer to initiate a change of direction. But in a tight turn, as soon as you give it counter steer, you're giving it opposite counter steer to keep it from falling into the turn. Gotcha. So the riders are getting confusing inputs.
It has a
to the motorcycle
feeling.
Yeah,
instead of being neutral.
Yes, absolutely right. It falls into the turn. So they press left, go left, and as soon as the bike starts going into the turn to the left, they're pressing right to keep it from falling or turning tighter. And it's not what you want novices to do.
Gotcha.
Right, but
and that makes
thousands
sense.
of people learn on Rebels.
Right.
So
and a lot of people get a start on it. Another favorite is the Kawasaki Eliminator 125.
Yeah, got one of those.
And I find those very peculiar handling bikes.
They are.
They're kind of big in the back and lean in the front. They've got very, very kicked out forks.
Absolutely.
And they flip over. That was my phone. God, I'm so sorry, Liza. There's going to be steam coming out of Liza's ears if she's listening to this. I'm going to put it on Do Not Disturb. But again, a very, very peculiar handling bike.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have one. They are, you don't want a powerful motorcycle for a novice, but those things are so weak that novices are really twisting the throttle to get them moving. And it makes me cringe when I see a novice's hand roll more than 90 degrees to get them moving. So again, it works. It's offset by the fact that it's small, and people look at it and how bad can it be? It's small. It's cute, right?
Well, I tell you how bad it can be, and this is my soapbox. It can be a Grom.
Oh, Groms. Terrible.
And
Groms are terrible training bikes.
We're going to agree on the same thing of why Groms are terrible. The brakes are like on-off switches, and I have had to repair so many Groms that people just dash them down. They grab too much brake and flip them.
They flip and they wheelie well. Like two things you don't want in a novice. In a training bike.
I've got this delicious vision of trainees doing these stonking wheelies and then doing stoppies.
Before the Grom, there was Suzuki had in the early 80s, they had a GN 125.
Yeah, I remember it well.
Little cruiser bike. Those things wheelied instantly. And one of the worst, going on a tangent here, one of the worst incidents I had, injuries with a student, was one of those.
Really?
We have 12 motorcycles. We're parking in 4 rows of 3. She's in the last row coming through. She grabs the front brake and rolls on the throttle at the same time. Then she squeezes the clutch. So lets go of the brake, but doesn't let go of the throttle. So it's pinned. So she lets go of the clutch and it goes straight up in the air in a wheelie. And it actually wheelied off of the tire and onto the brake light and license plate. I have saved the license plate because a corner of the license plate bent 180 degrees onto itself.
Nice.
She shot through the first 3 rows of motorcycles, glanced off of the bike in the front row, and shattered her femur.
Oh no.
Shattered her femur. It was
injury.
Brutal.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I remember it to this day. I mean, I didn't know at the time in the accident. I could see that when she's laying on her back, one foot was semi-vertical and one foot was parallel to the ground. And she's crying. We're all
howling.
We're all stressed out. And the part that got me, she says, "I can feel the bones scraping." So I wasn't sure how bad it was. I called the hospital later, and this was pre-HIPAA. This was early. So the nurse told me, and she said, she shattered her femur, and I said, "What?" Okay, so that's a very interesting adjective to use, shattered. You didn't say broken. You didn't say multiple breaks. You said shattered, and she says, "Uh-huh." I'm like, "Okay, I got the picture.
Yeah.
I got the picture."
Nasty business.
Wow.
So, you exclusively deal with the military now?
Yes, yes, that's exactly right. I teach motorcycle safety for a private business that supports the United States Army. So
just Army only?
Well, the contract that the corporation I work for is a contract with the Army. I work at Fort Ord.
Yes.
For the Presidio of Monterey. Now, the Presidio of Monterey is the Military Defense Language Institute.
Right.
So we get all branches.
Absolutely.
So it's an Army post, I get all branches in the class.
So when you are teaching the military, I mean, if we distill it down, we say, oh, yeah, sure, that's going to be easy. Military people are used to taking orders. You're going to tell them what to do and they'll do it. Doesn't quite work like that, does it?
No.
Well, do you do all ranks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't see a behavior change in ranks.
Okay, well,
or ranks.
Let's talk about that as much as you can without getting yourself in enormous trouble.
Well, okay, so I have to back up. I started teaching motorcycle safety while on active duty in the military.
Right. I know you've been doing this a long time.
In 1989.
Right.
And at that time, it was military classes, tell the student to do something, they would go do it. Go ride halfway down the parking lot, ride between these cones, press forward on the left handlebar, come back and let's talk about it. So they'd just come back and they would do it. And it's rather interesting now that my military that I'm currently teaching can't suspend their disbelief of certain things. So they won't do exactly as I asked them to do. I can see them struggle with it. They're like, that's not going to work. Well, can you just try it? Can you just do it just once? Just try it. And they fight with it. As you can probably imagine, one of the hardest things to teach people is countersteering. They're just in denial, right? Bicyclists think they lean, right? And then car drivers, people that don't have a whole lot of bicyclist experience, think they point the tire into the turn.
Right.
So it's a fight. For the most part, they'll pick it up. And I do see a slight behavior or learning difference between services. So I do see a little bit of that.
Oh, we're going to talk about this right now.
The Navy pick it up the quickest, right, Emma?
Of course the Navy pick it up the quickest, right?
Well, I don't,
Don't make me fight you, Tim.
It's not, here's,
Anchors away.
I am super biased. All right. So I will say I am biased. So you know how you can tell when somebody used to be a Marine? They'll tell you.
Right.
I'm a Marine.
Oh, okay. So you basically exhibit the worst traits of the Army and the Air Force.
Sure. Yeah.
I
thought there was a crayon joke in there somewhere.
Well, the discussion is, the Marine Corps is a department of the Navy, and we're actually the men's department. So,
hang on, we have a slight visitor. Mike, push. Second gear. Yeah, he's the most muscular guy. We're losing Jim for a moment. Thank you for the patience. So anyway, sorry.
So it's I won't necessarily say that certain services pick up the task.
Oh, I wish you would.
Sooner, but what I have noticed is there's a bit of teamwork that is much more apparent with the Marine Corps than the other services. When we go on break, what I would notice is, many people, it's a break. You're supposed to just let your brain go. You're supposed to let go of what you're happening and relax. But what I would find is, if I've got 2 Air Force, 2 Army, 2 Navy, 2 Marines, they pair up on their breaks, right? They kind of hug it out together. And what I would find is the Marines would be talking to each other about the course. I saw you do this. What do you think I'm doing? Did you see me learning, or how did you think my turn was going? So they're trying to chat each other up and mentor each other in the class. What's your strong point? What's my strong point? And they're trying to work together. And I won't say I don't see it with the other services, but I don't see it anywhere near as frequently.
Okay.
And then eventually in these classes that the Marines, I can't really, on breaks, I'm no teaching. That's part of the job. I'm not teaching. They need to relax and do their own thing. And I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, guys, you're chatting each other up. Why don't you go back to the rest of the group?
Right.
Go back. And it took another exercise or two, so another half hour. And then they started chatting up the rest of the group. And then all of a sudden, the overall skill set of the entire class started to climb.
Can we talk a little bit about the curriculum and who you get? So, obviously, they're in any branch of the military, no experience with motorcycling whatsoever, or some, and they have to take the course if they want to ride a motorcycle.
Yes, it's sort of, obviously things change throughout the years, but in general, the theme is, if you want to ride a motorcycle, you must attend a motorcycle safety course. Okay. Now, some misinterpretation of that is, if you want to ride a motorcycle on post, you have to take the course. And it's like, no. It's across the board. They need to,
and that makes sense because it costs Uncle Sam a great deal of money to train a soldier.
That's exactly
to train
right.
A sailor.
That's exactly
and
right.
If you wrap yourself around a lamppost,
You can't
on a
defend
bike,
the country.
You know, all that money's wasted.
That's
because
exactly right.
Now you can't fly your CH-53 or whatever.
Good job, Joe. Good job. That is a Marine Corps aircraft. Thank you for that.
Yes. No, I thought you'd enjoy that. So I get it. So you're getting experienced motorcyclists, inexperienced motorcyclists.
I get everything right. I get some. It's really interesting. I saw this in civilian. You know, I taught the California Motorcycle Safety Program from 1990 until last year.
Right.
And then I decided I need more personal time, so I'll just focus on the military. But in both those classes, occasionally I would get the type of person that says, I saw a thing in a magazine that said motorcycle course. I thought I'd take it. They've never thought about motorcycling their entire life. It's a course. They're free this weekend. They'll take it. Those are the ones that scare me the most.
Right. And now this is a weekend course. Theoretically, you can start the course on a Saturday?
Correct.
One day, 2 days?
It's the easiest way to think about it. It can be taught in different schedules, but even the civilian course, the California Motorcycle Safety Program course and my course, which is Motorcycle Safety Foundation based, two different curriculums.
Right.
They're both 15-hour courses.
Okay. So you can break that up however you want.
You can break it up however you want. Now, in the state of California, the CMSP course is generally a weeknight classroom. It could be by Zoom. Some organizations teach it by Zoom. And then you show up on the weekend and you ride 5 hours. And then you go back into the classroom. It could be weeknight. So it could be Thursday night, Saturday 5-hour riding. Next week, Thursday night, Saturday 5-hour riding. Could be that. I have found in my experience that helps the students the most because it gives them a time for this information to sink in and they can take a break. The course I'm currently teaching, the students take a 3-hour online course. They show up, ride for 5 hours. Then they're back into the classroom for same day, Saturday, ride for 5 hours. They're back into the classroom for 3-ish hours. And then they show up on Sunday and they ride another 5 hours. And
that's quite a brutal weekend.
It is a brutal weekend. And thank goodness, at least now in the military, most of these individuals tend to be in better shape and they're better focused in endurance. They can withstand that. In the civilian sector, that can be hard.
So when you say they're riding for 5 hours, is it riding for 5 hours broken up with a couple of breaks over 7 hours? Or do you kind of include a couple? Did you get him rolling?
Yeah, he was down.
Oh, fantastic. And he's broken off his kickstart, the poor boy. What's in that bag, Jake? Yes, oh dear. So,
it's a bag of crank.
Yeah, forgive me for going off tangent. Mikey 3 times showed up on his vintage shovelhead and broke off the kickstart in the parking lot. And so needed a shove start to get home. And there we have it.
So 5 hours of riding. Basically, what it works out to being is about an hour to an hour of 20 minutes of riding, 10-minute break.
Oh, there you go.
And then they do that again. And they do that again. And so they're technically on the parking lot for 5 hours with breaks every hour to every hour and a half.
And what's your pass rate?
It's almost 100%. It's almost 100%, which is kind of interesting to me because as with any, we've all taken tests in our life, be it skill based or be it academic based, written tests where we know we're going to fail and we pass, or we think we're going to pass and we fail. So I get that level of student in the class. There are some that I don't think they're going to make it.
And they do.
And they test really well. And then I get those students that ride essentially perfectly and they choke in the test. They give themselves test anxiety. So,
well, these are a group of people that typically are used to following directions well and understand, do step A, B, C, and D, and I will try my best. And
Well,
it's just funny where motorcycle is
not.
kind of a, yeah.
I like to think, and I mean, I should remind everybody that the 4th of July is coming up, that, the standard of recruitment for the U.S. military is pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're getting a certain type of individual.
We are, and it's a little bit different post to post. Again, the Presidio of Monterey is the Defense Language Institute, so the students that are sent to Monterey have there's something different about them. They went through some testing as they're going through training,
right?
And however those tests are designed, they were flagged as maybe you can learn a language. So they shoved them off into that direction. I failed those tests, the Morse code tests, the various language tests where you try to interpret something without ever seeing it before. So this group of students somehow has been flagged in that direction. So sometimes they have some strengths and sometimes they don't. I think one of my personal observations is many of my students don't have any skin in the game. It's a free class.
Right.
So if they don't take the class, they know at their next post, their next assigned duty station, they could try again. The ones that have skin in the game are the ones that already have a motorcycle and they have to pass the class to get on base.
Right.
In the civilian world, all the students have skin in the game. They've paid money and there's no refunds. So they get to a point, even the ones that will outright deny countersteering works, at some point they realize I've got to do what they tell me to do or I'm going to lose my money. And then all of a sudden when they do it, they're like, what was I missing?
But
I can't tell you.
And it's such a polarizing point. And I don't think the other guys teach countersteering.
What do you mean?
No, I don't think, which is the curriculum that you're based on?
MSF. And Total Control is the CMSP.
Yeah, I think Total Control. I don't think it's actually part of.
I think they do in the advanced classes.
On the advanced classes, but not in the entry level.
They do. They just don't bring it up. Total Control brings it up a little bit more. How can I say?
Quickly.
Overtly.
Right.
Whereas the MSF for many years, we weren't allowed to really state it. Right. Until the students rode for a while, right? And then you can sort of bring it up. In the MSF curriculum, it's you tell students you press left to go left, you press right to go right. You don't call it countersteering,
okay,
or you didn't for years. In the Total Control curriculum, it's called countersteering.
So it's
and because both curriculums, they have their pluses and minuses.
Right.
There's only so many ways you can skin a cat. So, the curriculums focus on the things that are absent in accident-involved riders: braking, turning, and swerving. And so they focus on those in the class. Those are key aspects of the course. Students are taught to swerve. Students are taught to brake, stop in the shortest distance. They're taught cornering, with slight variations to each curriculum for obvious reasons.
But, well, Tim, thank you for joining us tonight.
Sure. I've been wanting to for a while.
Well, thank you for letting us know what you do.
Well, and I'll just add something. So I follow U.S. Navy stuff online.
Oh, you bet you do.
Well, anyway, that aside, just last week I noticed it very timely and sobering. So this year, so far, 22 Navy sailors have died on motorcycles.
There you go.
So It's real. I mean, and each one of these people, has a family, has loved ones, has maybe parents, has maybe kids, has a whole group of people that really care about them. So every single one of those, people that passed away is a significant human being. And it just sucks. So awesome work. I mean, really.
Yeah. No, thank you. But the biggest thank you for letting me lay my hands on your R1.
Oh.
It was, really was a treat.
If anything gets Emma fired up, it's a carbureted inline-4 Japanese sport bike.
Oh, yeah. It's an experience that's going to go away. My greatest fear for young people is they're never going to get the chance to whack the throttles open on a Lita superbike and just feel it. Just feel what it's like because fuck me, my eyes roll back in my head, and I'm just like, oh God, there's nothing
this is
like
Emma
it.
Catnip we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Well, Emma said it best. The
Very good.
inline 4-liter bikes, they're intoxicating.
They are intoxicating.
Absolutely.
They absolutely are.
Everybody, if you have the skill level, do experience it.
Man,
treat it with the respect it deserves, but experience.
Oh, I don't do that at all, do I, Jim?
You run it like a rape date, for God's sake.
Well,
Yeah.
what's interesting about that, I mean, we've talked today and we discovered that we've both had 900 RRs.
Yeah.
I had an FJ 1100. You had an FJ 1200. I just learned that now.
Yeah.
I bought that FJ 1100 when I shouldn't have. My skill set wasn't up to par. Right. That thing had 101 horsepower to the rear wheel, right? And today's 600s are putting 140, 150 to the rear wheel.
Yeah, but it's different. It's
sure. It doesn't have the torque. It's not in the mid range, right? You got to really wring the 600s out. But it's people forget how quick motorcycles are.
It's just that rush.
Yeah,
it's the rush,
and rate of acceleration.
Drop
and I
it in
think
the fourth gear, whack the throttle, and just feel that warp drive.
It's the rush, and I think that if somebody, how can you get all excited about a bike that makes 101 horsepower? But it's the rush, and if an FJ11 doesn't make as much power as an R6. My God, it's a different riding experience.
Absolutely.
And then when you get into them with a proper size wheels on them, rather than those little 16 inches, it's a different experience again.
So I'm curious, all the modifications on the bike, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that stock bike has a big old muffler.
Mm-hmm.
How come you didn't touch the muffler?
Because I like silence.
Yeah.
I like quiet.
Can appreciate that.
So do I.
I don't. I live in the Santa Cruz Mountains, and I can hear every shift, and that's kind of annoying. It's sort of a golden rule thing, right? I don't want to upset my neighbors. I want to be able to live the house, but realistically, I can be hooning around, and people won't hear me.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I can be having my own level of fun, and nobody hears me.
Yeah, that's how we are with dirt bikes.
Right.
Keep them quiet, and you can.
My Harley's got a stock exhaust.
Right.
I've got to be the only Harley that I know of with a stock exhaust.
And people forget how good bikes sound even when they're stock. That R1 of yours, it sounds great because you're hearing the intake noise. You're hearing this rush of the cams. Same, God almighty, Rufus sounds good. Stock exhaust. But it's just the note from the engine. It's just that banshee scream off the engine and the intake roar. That's the intoxicating, and you don't need the exhaust to be like bellowing behind you. I'm having a great time, and the best part is if I'm howling down the freeway at 125, 130.
Theoretically, of course,
Mr. Highway Patrol, who's taking a nap behind the wheel of his car, ain't going to hear me.
Just exactly right.
And I'm gone. Rather than advertise the fact of what I'm doing.
Stealth bike save tickets.
Exactly. We're kind of running low on time. And Neal, I know you wanted to chat about headsets, and I do want to touch base with you on that, but we're going to do that next week.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because we've got some emails.
We do.
How about that? In fact, so why don't we start with you, Neal? What do you got?
Okay, I have a ride report from Stephen Floyd.
Hey, Stephen.
Is it Stephen Floyd or Floyd Stephen?
Stephen Floyd.
Oh, sure.
Stefan.
Is he related to Pink Floyd?
Trail Rider 49. He is his Yahoo address. Anyway. Hey, Misfits. We did a ride to Reno for Street Vibrations with my girlfriend riding pillion on my 04 Triumph Sprint RS in Caspian Blue.
Oh, that's a good bike.
We were just talking about those, weren't we?
Yeah.
Sprinty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Minty.
There was one in Portland at the One Moto Show at the very back, so you may remember that. And my brother was riding his 19 Kawasaki Z900. We started at 5 a.m. leaving Salem, Oregon on the 492-mile trek. We took I-5 to Eugene and then got on Highway 58 up through the mountain pass as we went. It was pretty cold until we hit Highway 97 and then blasted south through the high desert. Stopped in Klamath Falls for a proper breakfast. After breakfast, we continued through the ever-changing desert, The trees got shorter and more sparse as the temp rose. Some extremely gorgeous terrain out there. I agree. And this was our first big motorcycle trip. We finally made it to Reno around 6 p.m. with a few light sprinkles. So this was day 1 here. So this is a day 5 thing.
Well, you need to step it up.
Yeah, we got to get this on the road here.
Yeah, step it up, Stephen. You're slacking. Day 2, first day of the rally. We rode up to Virginia City. I love that town, by the way. Rode the Virginia City Grand Prix some years ago. And again, more beautiful windy roads to this old mining town. As you could imagine, there are lots of Harley people doing Harley things. But we had a good time hanging out and got a few T-shirts. The town is pretty cool, and we will go back for sure. Day 3, Lake Tahoe. I have never been to Lake Tahoe, so I thought the best way to see it would be to ride completely around it and see the whole thing. Was not disappointed. Such a beautiful area. Nice curvy road with amazing viewpoints scattered around the lake. Stopped for dinner at a pizza place on the California side. Completed the circling of the lake and headed back to the hotel. Day 4. Got hammered poolside and a little sunburned. Great day.
Awesome. That's a great day.
Day 5, the return trip. Was the same route, but I think the temp was close to 100 degrees and most of the way with some thunder showers. I absolutely love the desert, and it's always great, whether hot or putting on an amazing thunderstorm. We did roughly 1,400 miles in 5 days. I definitely recommend doing a motorcycle if you haven't. Of course, that's why we're here. It's a great way to spend time with those you're close to. Both bikes did well, no hiccups. The girlfriend did well and is looking forward to the next trip, which I think will be Canada to see the Victoria area. Thanks for the great podcast and give it the beans.
Yes!
Give it the beans,
Thank
darling.
you. Thank you, Stefan. Lovely jubbly. Bagel, what do you got, darling?
I have an email from our friend Joshua Clark.
Joshua.
He says, "Hey, Misfits.
Hello, Clarky.
Catching up on the latest episodes and wanted to share a white knuckling story. To keep the story short, my first trip to Tail the Dragon was interesting. I ended up on a new-to-me bike, and the first real ride on it was 2 up over the Cherrahala Skyway and up to the Dragon. As far as Sportsters go, I have been a fan for a long while. I have an affinity for the frame-mounted engines. The buzz and visceral feeling of the bike is the attraction. My Sportster feels raw, nimble, it's quick off the line, and fast enough without being crazy. From my experience, those who like Sportsters are quick to defend them for what they are, but many in the Harley community just constantly tell people that they'll outgrow the bike. The rest just see the lack in performance versus sport bikes and the lack of reliability versus Japanese cruisers. Lastly, I have one issue I am attempting to resolve in the next few weeks. However, the plan is for Minty and myself to attend Vintage Days again this year.
Yay!
Nice.
While she won't do interviews, I'll be more than happy to be a stunt misfit. Josh, Lebanon, PA.
Oh, lovely.
Right on, Josh.
Thanks,
I remember
Thanks,
Josh.
Yeah, Josh
thanks,
is
Josh.
good egg.
Josh
Jake,
is a good egg.
what do you got, Jake?
I have an email.
You might want to paraphrase that one a little bit.
Oh, is it a long one?
Page and a half.
Yeah.
No, let's save that one till next week. John, what do you got?
Okay.
Well produced.
Because we are actually running a little bit low on time.
Yeah.
This is from Rowdy Auto.
Oh, I like that name.
No, we know Rowdy.
Yes.
Hello, Misfits.
Hello, Rowdy.
Hey,
I'm
Rowdy.
listening to the Sportsters Are Cool episode, and I'm hearing people talk about the rubber mount years, but I want to say that you shouldn't discount pre-rubber mount Sportsters.
Never would.
The ride isn't all that much less comfortable, but more importantly, if you need to pull the transmission, you don't have to split the engine cases. When the rubber mounts were introduced, they discontinued the trapdoor transmission access. If I were to get another Sportster, I'd only buy a pre-rubber mount Sportster for this reason, and I'm the only person who ever works on my bikes. Of course, there's downsides that are pre-rubber mount Sportsters, so one must weigh the pros and cons. I also agree with Unky Phil. Sportsters are better with taller shocks. I know the 88 I used to have improved tremendously when switching to 11 inches to 13.5 shocks, and I was tempted to try even taller. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
There you go.
That's
Actually,
good information because
you know what, Jake? I saw the disappointment in your face. You know, for a moment he looked crushed. I still want you to paraphrase it because
You
it
asked
is a
for it.
page and a half.
Yeah.
Wipe the tear out of your eye.
Benjamin
Benjamin
de Leeuwerk.
Ooh, Benjamin.
Benjamin D.
Ben-
Franklin.
Greetings,
Benjamin.
majestic misfits. This is Benjamin writing to you from colorful Colorado. While I was born and raised in Virginia, I don't carry a Southern accent. Sorry, Bagel. I wanted to share a ride report with you from tonight. So they rode in Colorado through Estes Park into the Rocky Mountain National Park. He linked up with a friend, Aaron. They met at a gas station and cruised beyond Glen Haven, Estes Park, and the Rockies opened up majestically for them.
Did he say what he's writing?
Did not.
Colorado is beautiful.
I think there's pictures there.
that's where my
Oh,
better half is.
It's
right
down.
now.
It's coming up. He's on a Super 10.
Oh, okay. That's good, Bane. Yes?
They carried on onward and into the park, into the Rocky Mountain National Park. Occasionally passing deer and elk.
Ooh, elk.
Well,
Yeah.
it's better to pass them than to meet up with them. Let's put it that
Also
Uh,
known as really big deer.
Right.
way. Big deer.
They were enjoying the
Nice.
scenery and the riding very much, as well as just the company of a good friend to ride with. Aaron had spotted an Apple Watch between some rocks below, where they had stopped, and he climbed down some rocks to get it. They brought some drinks and some snacks, but he kicked one drink over and lost half of it. Some photographers approached and pointed their cameras in every direction to capture the giant sun retreating behind the giant mountains. Aaron joked about getting up on the rock and pretending we were getting engaged to give them some good content to capture.
That's awesome.
He said he could cut a hole in a cucumber slice from their snack pack and use that as a ring. They almost got blown off the mountain, scuttling back to the bikes, and began their descent. There is quite a bit of stuff here. He just turned 38. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah. At one moment, stuck behind a line of cars, he turned his brights off so as not to blind the drivers in front of me at dusk. Mixed with the bright lights of Aaron's, his riding companion, his trophy GS, he didn't realize that his own headlight had burned out when he disengaged his high beam.
Oh.
Sketchy. Super 10s are notoriously bad for stock lighting, he claims. So when it darkened, I asked him to lead for safety. That's when he realized he actually didn't have headlights. And so, like one of you mentioned on a recent podcast, I glued up tight behind his bike and tailgated him home off the mountain.
That's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He was creeping over his shoulder for 40 miles, exercise and deep focus, scanning corners ahead, working with his lights and his memory to recall anything worth dodging. Sounds like they had a really good time. He wants to say that 2 pieces of kit that improved the situation were their comms and the brake free that he had gifted his friend for his birthday.
Yay.
Very nice. From all the talk and praise about that product y'all have done before, let them know the advertising works, so he heard about it from the pod. Both helped us get down stress-free and safely. Thanks to my good friend for letting me tailgate him when we passed cops, so I'd be less conspicuous without lights. And they made it all the way back.
And that exhibits, to me, one of the greatest joys of motorcycling. It's always riding with your friends.
And it sounds like this was on the actual summer solstice, or damn near it. Included are some beautiful pictures of a sunset and some mountainscapes.
Colorado is breathtakingly gorgeous.
Yep.
All the mountains and all that.
Very cool, Ben.
Yeah,
Well
thank
done.
you, Ben. I'm
Very
just
cool.
going to share a very, very quick one.
One quick point I wanted to make, point of information. If you lose your headlight and you're by yourself, a great way to get by so you don't have a catastrophic crash, if you have four-way flashers, put your four-way flashers on. Those will at least give you some illumination on the road.
Oh, that's
if you don't
very
have
nice.
that, if you don't have that, put your turn signal on.
See,
Oh, that was good.
I've got a top tip as well. What would Emma do? So if Emma was riding at night and her headlight went out, I'd pull the bike over and sit in the grass by the side of the road, and have a little talk with myself and a little cry.
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, Liza and all the misfits. I don't know if this email will get to you in time for tonight's recording, but just in case, here's my question. Well, it clearly did. My wife is a college professor. Oh, I bet she's terribly bright. And her job is sending her to Oxford for the summer. Oh, bloody hell, she is bright. For the summer exchange program. At the last minute, it turns out I get to go with her instead of joining you at Vintage Motorcycle Days like I did last year. Boo! We leave on Tuesday. We'll be in London for 5 days, Oxford for her classes, and then spend a week travelling through Wales and Western England.
Oh, nice.
I will have a rental car and time to explore while she is working during the day. Based on your travels there last month and Emma's status as a native Brummie, what motorcycle-related sites do you recommend visiting? Additionally, the only place I found online rent expensive Jeep BMWs by the week. Although I ride a GS at home, for this trip I'd be happy with a scooter or a Grom, or to piddle around the countryside for a day or two. Any specific recommendations on where to possibly hire a small bike for reasonable cost? Thank you so much for any insight, and as always, a wonderful podcast, Mike. So, Mike, here's some suggestions for you. As far as bike rental goes, I think Twisted Road is in England as well.
Oh, I don't know. I was just going to see if Haley Bell has a bike. Just borrow it from her.
Yeah, just call up Haley Bell.
Liza's got the Amigo over there.
Yeah, Liza's got the Amigo.
Oh, God. You can't just do that. You can't just offer her other people's bikes.
Well, we almost sold her Harley today. No, we almost sold her dual sport to that young lady.
Ah, that's right.
We were
did.
close.
Twisted Road. Try Twisted Road. I'm pretty sure they're in England. If not, just rent a bike. But there are so many motorcycle-related places to go to. You know, Oxford is great because it's accessible to London, so you can do all the London stuff like the bike shed, and it's accessible to the Midlands, so you can do like the motorcycle museum.
Where was Liza where the racing was going on? Liza had all these little odd little events. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
She
it
was there
was
last time.
Snetterton or Donington or somewhere. You know, England, the motorcycle culture in England is pervasive throughout. My advice to you, Mike, buy a copy of Motorcycle News, the English version, or go online to Motorcycle News and just click on what's going on. And then you can just visit wherever you want from there. And with that, I think it's pretty much time to get out of here. As always, we have plucked something out of nothing and wasted easily an hour and a half of your precious time. And we're truly grateful for that. So thank you. As always, thank you to our Patreon subscribers who are the finest persons that humanity has to offer. And frankly, we couldn't do the show without you guys. What do you say, Johnny?
I say they're the best.
They are the best of the best. They are on a pedestal just watching all the others go by. And with that...
the crop.
Yes, exactly. And with that, I think it's time to get out of here. This is Emma Darling.
Stumpy John.
Tim.
It's Neal.
Jake 2.0.
Nick Jim, son.
Bagel.
And we are out of here.
Cool.